A lot of really successful people talk about their mindset and how their mindset was the actual reason that they became successful in the first place. They usually then give it a pretty vague name, something like winner's mentality, winner's mindset, the mind of a champion, but they still fail to really point out what sets them apart from the rest of the crowd. So in today's video, I want to dig a little bit deeper. I want to find out if there is one single thing that you can boil it down to that really makes all the difference. And I actually think I have found that one thing. Check it out. So if we look at these super successful people, it has been pretty much debunked that these people were born like that. Nobody comes into this world being super skilled at anything. They might have some initial talent, but most of it is hard work. And I'm not gonna go much deeper into this topic of talent versus skill in this video, but if you want to read up on that topic, it is highly interesting and I can recommend two books. One is Talent is Overrated, right up here, and of course the all-time classic Outliers. Now if we all agree that we pretty much start from scratch when we are born, how is it then possible that some people go on to do amazing things, develop outstanding skills in their particular field, while other people stay mediocre? I believe that it does in fact all come down to the mindset of these highly successful people, and one very specific part of that mindset. And that is that they have the willingness to be uncomfortable for an extended period of time. Let me explain what I mean by that exactly. If none of us is born with those God-given talents, then that means that we have to painfully develop the skills ourselves. So we essentially have to kill that person that we are today. We have to leave him behind in order to become the person that we want to be tomorrow. If we want to develop ourselves, if we want to develop our skills and want to grow our skill set, we have to make that sacrifice. And that all sounds fine and good, so why don't we all just do that? Well, that is where fear comes into play. Fear is what's holding us back from reaching our fullest potential. And especially two kinds of fears. Number one is the fear of failure. Nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to look stupid in front of their classmates. Nobody likes to look stupid in front of their parents or their teachers. So instead of looking stupid, they don't even try. That attitude right there can already ruin your life. And it is not something that you were born with. Instead, it is something that you have been taught over years and decades. Think about it. If you are a newborn baby and you learn how to walk, you are not afraid of failure. You just get up, you fall down, flat on your face, maybe you cry a little bit, but then you try again and again and again until eventually you go from crawling to walking. Later in our lives, we lose that ability of just embracing failure. We are so afraid of being judged by others that we don't dare to try anything new. And then the second fear that is keeping us from becoming the hugely successful person that we all deserve to be is the fear of change. Change is so extremely important for our development and our growth because it puts us in unknown situations. If you don't know what to do, you have to try out a lot of different things until you eventually find the solution. And if you have a lot of change constantly in your life, if you are embracing change, then you have developed that skill. You know how to handle these unknown circumstances. You know how to proceed in order to finally reach your goal. And you are not afraid to try out different things. You are not afraid of that failure that I just talked about, because change inevitably leads to failure initially. So change and failure really go hand in hand, and you cannot separate the two. But if you eliminate one of them, you almost certainly eliminate the other one as well. And that's when you start to stagnate in your life. Of course, most people don't call it stagnating. They instead just call it settling down. And I mean, who can blame them? It is really uncomfortable to not settle down. Of course, it is much easier to just get a stable job, a stable partner, a stable income, have a stable household, have 1 to 2 children, and then you're set for life. You go to work every day, not feeling challenged, but also not failing, and then you come home where nothing ever changes, and you just live that life until you eventually die. And you know that's cool, to each his own, and if that's what you want, perfect. Just don't wake up in 30 years wondering why some people get ahead and why you are left behind, when you haven't changed anything in your life and you haven't failed in your life for 30 years. I think it was Tony Robbins who once said, if you keep doing what you've always done, you keep getting what you've always gotten. So if you want to get ahead, if you want to live a life that is extraordinary, if you want to keep growing, keep developing and never settling, then you have to make a conscious decision to be uncomfortable. You have to embrace that feeling of being uncomfortable for an extended period of your life probably. And I know that that is not an easy decision to make. It is uncomfortable. I get that. In fact, I have made a couple of very uncomfortable decisions in the last couple of years. I have moved from my home country, Germany, to Sweden, where I didn't speak the language, where I know next to no one or knew next to no one 3 years ago. Now I have settled in a little bit, but it was pretty uncomfortable. You get a job that is not really up to your standards, you cannot speak the language, you cannot apply for a lot of positions. It was uncomfortable, but I grew so much. And when I go back to Germany and I see what my life probably would look like if I had stayed in Germany, I am very happy that I left. Not because there's anything wrong with Germany, but just because I wanted that new and exciting experience of being really uncomfortable in a completely new environment. And then after living in Sweden for 2 years, I decided to make myself even more uncomfortable by quitting my stable and safe job and starting my own company in a country where I still don't really master the language. Now that is uncomfortable. I have no income, I don't know where the next paycheck is gonna come from. I'm just putting out content, I'm working on my business online, I'm trying to make ends meet, and it would have been a lot easier to just stay at my job that I hated, but that I was pretty comfortable at, and where I knew I couldn't fail hard. See, my life philosophy is pretty simple. I want to live life to the fullest. I want to push myself and I want to see how far I can get. I mean, we're all gonna be dead soon enough. I don't want to look back on my life saying that it was just boring, that I just took the beaten path. I always did what others did, so I always got what others got. I want to see how far I can go with this. And that means being uncomfortable for a very long time probably on this path, but I'm embracing it. I'm actually loving it, and you do get used to it. So as it says in the video title, 95% of all people say that this is simply not for them. They either make the conscious or the unconscious decision to take the beaten path, to do what other people are doing, and that's fine. That's totally cool. But if you are part of the 5%, you know now what to do. Number 1, get over your fear of failure. Number 2, get over your fear of change. If you embrace fear and failure, you will be uncomfortable for a while, but you will also live a life that is so rich and that is so exciting that you will definitely not regret having taken that path. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video.